Good morning. Welcome to the City Infrastructure Committee meeting. I declare this meeting open at 10:33 a.m. I would like to advise meeting attendees that this meeting is being audio recorded and they can actually have their local residents ring council and get a copy of that recording should they so wish it for transparency and openness. In response to public health emergency involving COVID-19, this meeting will be physically closed to the public and we apologise for any inconvenience caused by that. I'd like to begin today's meeting by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land in which we are gathered and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Now, with your indulgence, I'd just like to make a quick statement, which is I'm very honoured to be chairing this committee and I thank my colleagues for their confidence. One of the biggest things during this COVID-19 crisis as we've travelled around the community is there's a consistent thing out there, which is roads crews are on the roads. Water crews are fixing the water problems, and hidden away the waste crews are actually doing their job. So with the permission of the committee, I'd like to say, could you please pass our thanks along to those crews? They've been doing a magic job and getting out there and getting the job done for the residents of Logan. Now moving on, we do have a leave of absence request from Councillor Bradley due to personal reasons. I now move a motion to approve Councillor Bradley's leave of absence. Is there a seconder? That would be Councillor Murphy. Councillor Murphy has seconded. Are there any councillors who wish to speak to this motion? There being none, all those in favour, please raise your hand. That's unanimous. Oh, pardon me, Councillor Wilcox is part of that unanimous. Yes, unanimous. The motion has been carried. Do councillors have any other leave of absences to declare? There being none, we invite the Road Infrastructure Manager, Mr Kamal Ranawira, to present item 4.1. Do councillors have any conflicts of interest to declare? There being none, I refer to Mr Ranawira to open discussion.
Yeah, okay, thanks very much. This is a usual road closure application that comes to council. Before I go into the application, probably I'll like to outline the process that we take because some councillors might not know what we do. Usually, I mean, most of the road reserve is owned by state government, and we council actually look after the road reserve for them. So we are the road manager, in other words. So when there's an application from a resident to take that road reserve back and own it, there's an application process. That process involves them coming to council and asking the question whether we have any objections for that application to proceed. So at that stage, if we know anything, we could say that we have an objection, or we could say you can apply. Then we will investigate further, and if there is an objection, then we'll have to let DNR RME know, state government know there is we object to this. That's the process. It's called Form C. We fill that Form C and hand over to the applicant. The applicant lodged the application, and then the NRME ask if later on whether there is a formal objection. At that stage, we usually consult every branch, not every branch, but I think most important branches in terms of that, relevant branches in terms of that application, and get views from them. And we do a little bit of investigation as well in terms of planning. And then once we do that, we come to council saying, okay, this is our process, this is what we recommend. So this is one of those things. It's in Waterford. You probably, councillors, know that there's a rail trail line going there. And if you look at in page number, I don't know where the page numbers are, page number 9. You will see in shaded area, that's the rail corridor, and the road closure is hashed area, and that's the closure that they wanted. but it actually looks like it's a very good alignment to proceed with that Logan Village Road continuously rather than having that dog-legged kind of arrangement currently we have. So that's one of the reasons. The other reason is there are some services, water services, water program said that they have services there. So for those two reasons, we believe we should be objecting to this. So the recommendation is there to object.
Thank you. I'll now open the floor to councillors for discussion. Councillor Raven.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say that I wholly support the officers' position on this as experts in their field, and I'm happy to move the motion when you're ready.
Are there any other... Councillor Power? Pardon me. Councillor Karansky?
Just a quick question, actually, and I'm also supportive of the motion, but my question was, this isn't the first time that Palm Lakes have actually come to council with regard to a request regarding what is the rail corridor component of the Palm Lakes facility that sits between Bethania and Palm Lakes Waterford. Kamal, I wonder if you could comment more broadly on how that came to pass. Was that a similar process as what we're looking at now?
In terms of this closure?
What I'm asking is that Palm Lakes must have approached council in the past to enable them to have the interface between Palm Lakes Waterford and Palm Lakes Bethania and using the rail corridor. And did they go through this process last time round?
It came to, I think, our admin branch with the proposal to close part of the rail corridor as well. So there is a letter attached to this report, our response at that stage from the admin branch. So we objected at that stage too.
That's really where I was going, is I thought we objected in the past, so even our objection coming up through this process is no guarantee that this won't be approved. Is that right?
I think we are not the final approval agency, it's the state government, but we, as a road manager, we should be objecting to this.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the floor? Okay, so Councillor Raven has offered to move this motion. Councillor Power has offered to second it. There being no other... Sorry, Councillor Murphy, did you have a hand up? No. There being... All those in favour, please raise your hand. That's unanimous. Thank you very much, councillors. We'll move on to item 4.2. I now refer to item 4.2. Before we open the discussion in this item, do any councillors have a conflict of interest to declare? There being none, I now refer to Mr. Ranawira to open discussion on 4.2, please.
This is again the same process applies here as well. DNRME has approached us because there was an application. In this case, of course, the road is Manuka Road, which is the road north of North Road, I think, which connects the Waterford Tambourine Road, and they got the approval from TMR to connect to that road as well. So it's a small portion of road closure. If I go to page number 12, you see the small portion of that road closure, which is a cul-de-sac at the moment. So they have done the development. Development has progressed to, I think it is at least in operational work stage now. So I think this is a formality. So we are letting them have that.
Thank you. I'll now open the floor to councillors for discussion. Are there any questions of the manager? Okay, there being no questions, is there a mover for this motion, please? That would be Councillor Bannon. Is there a seconder? That would be Councillor Power. All those in favour, please raise your hand. It's carried unanimously. Just a quick one. We'll move into general business for this section. Are there any questions for the Road Infrastructure Planning Manager's reports? Councillor Karansky.
Through the chair, thank you, Kamal. You touched on it just before about the intersection with Manuka Road and the Waterford Tambourine Road, and there was a question about whether TMR would actually grant a left-in, left-out as a permanent access in and out of Manuka Road. Do we have an update on that? Have they actually provided that?
I don't have an update, to be honest. Still, we are waiting for them to give us the planning layouts in that regard. Yeah.
Okay, anyone else have any other general business that they want to raise? I thank you, Mr. Ranawira, for your attendance today. We'll move on to item 5.1, which is I invite Mr. Darryl Riley to present his item. So I now refer to item 5.1. Before we open the discussion on this item, do any councillors have a conflict of interest to declare on item 5.1? There being none, thank you very much, Mr. Riley. Would you like to proceed with your report?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councillors, the report is in relation to the Southern Regional Roads Group Board. So Logan City Council is part of the Southern Regional Roads Group, which involves Logan City Council, Redland City Council and Gold Coast, in conjunction with the Department of Main Roads, which are represented by South Coast and Metro. The board effectively looks at roads of regional significance in the local network, as well as some of those connections with the declared network of the Department of Main Roads. There are basically two committees that make that up. There's a technical committee, which is made up of officers of each of the adjoining associated councils and the department, and then there's a board which sits over the top of that, which is made up of elected representatives from the councils and senior management from Department of TMR. The report is requesting that we actually make a nomination on that, and it is suggesting that the appropriate person for that, or appropriate position for that role, would be the chair of the Infrastructure Committee, with both the deputies actually as available alternatives to be able to vote at the board meeting in the absence of our standing nominee. Thank you.
Thanks very much. I'll now open the floor for discussion. No one has a question of Mr. Riley? Okay, can I please have a mover for this motion? It's Councillor... Oh, that's Mr. Mayor, Councillor Darren Power and Councillor Karansky to second that. All those in favour, raise your hand. That's a unanimous decision. Thank you very much for that. We now move into general business. Are there any councillors who wish to raise any issues in general business for this manager? There being none, thank you very much, Mr. Riley. Appreciate your time. Obviously, because of COVID-19 restrictions, we do have a limited space in which to have managers in here. We do have the director. I'll just open general business for the director. Is there anyone who has a question for the Director of Roads and Infrastructure? That being said, thank you very much for your time, and please pass along our thanks to your road crews, water crews and waste crews. I'll declare the meeting closed at 10:46 a.m. Thank you very much.